Hey traders and investors, checking in on the cannabis and a quick peek on the psychedelic space as we closed out the week. And we ended the week on a bearish note in the sector as we saw some pretty big red days out there. So just as a reference point, we see the S&P 500 consolidated this week as well, set a daily high or low on Thursday, and then on Friday we ended pretty much in the middle of that range between the high of the bull move and the low of that consolidation. And so we're watching to see, to start next week, do the bears break the low of Thursday and start to regain short-term control in their favor, or can bulls hold that low of Thursday and then head to a new bounce high? Obviously, those are two exact opposite different scenarios, and that can distinctly shape how the short term goes from here. We know next week is holidays. We've got some fundamentals coming out, PPI, we got jobless numbers coming out, and it's a 3.5 day trading week. So keeping all that in mind, but keep an eye on this chart and keep this in memory, because we're now going to compare CGC and look at the difference. Big difference on Friday. Wednesday into Thursday looked good. One day a pullback, daily high or low trying to form. Bulls unable to set that daily high or low. The high of this bounce right now is 421 resistance. So we got the top 456 resistance. Now 421 is our lower high. And what the price has done is a quick little lower high, lower low. Look at the close. We closed at the low of the day while SPY bounced for 3 hours into the close. So again, just very different day, showing us relative weakness in cannabis comparative to the S&P 500 on Friday. So this is a red flag for bulls for a number of reasons. Number one, we pulled back notably from the high here. The result of the next hourly bounce, we're going to be looking for a lower high. There's a little resistance level at 383 from the end of Friday, but for me personally, I would be considering anything under 418 to be an hourly lower high next time we bounce. So bears are going to be scouting for hourly lower highs on a bounce, and we're going to be scouting for a daily lower high as well. Where we stand right now, CGC could see a bounce of 20% and still form a daily lower high. So a daily lower high is now the most likely result of the next bounce. Obviously, any kind of news could throw that out the window, but we're almost in a spot right now where we have to see news, because there's been some rumors and some grumblings of, this bill is looking to be released next week. We've got the marijuana research bill for Biden to sign, and it's looking like he's going to sign that. But as far as, something being introduced in the lame duck session, we have certain influencers putting it into people's heads that it's coming out within the next week or two, and maybe it does. But just be aware that if it does not, that then leads to downward pressure, because part of the relative strength we've been seeing the last couple of weeks is that anticipation and bulls trying to enter positions in advance of that in anticipation. So with where we stand right now, again, I play this sector in both directions. I won't short MSLS because of the liquidity, but I will short CGC and TLRY. And so the next time we bounce on this daily chart, I'm going to be scouting a daily lower high, because to me, that's the most likely scenario. And we have TLRY. I pointed out in the last video, it's a potential rising wedge. And now my probabilities that this is a rising wedge increase a bit. And even if we bounce from here, technically still a daily uptrend, because we have these little higher lows. Anything above 358 would be a daily higher low. But what would happen if we were to bounce and set a daily lower high? We would be shaping up the potential of a head and shoulders. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're in a spot right now where bears can potentially take over into the start of December into weekly consolidation. What would that look like? Well, here's TLRY that has seen a higher low every single week for 2 months at this point. And so we're on the verge of weekly consolidation. We will look for a weekly higher low compared to 265, but it's a potential inverse head and shoulders. Big picture, if we're going to see a longer term trend change here, we've got to set a weekly higher low and higher high to confirm an uptrend. So I'm scouting for weekly consolidation. I'm scouting for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. And if we confirm daily downtrends on our major Canadian names, weekly consolidation will be underway. And that'll be that. So that is where I stand here in the short term. An aggressive bull is scouting a daily bounce in the short term, but I would rather be a patient bear and scout the daily lower high personally. And that's because these names are also weaker than MSLS. We can see we've been consolidating on CGC and TLRY for 3 days now. MSOS got its first day of consolidation on Friday. Little uptick in bear volume. One more note on volume. So looking at CGC, this is, no, who did I want to point out volume? Neither of these names. Forget who, but there's some volume that I want to point out. I'll keep an eye out for who that was. Anyways, MSLS, stair-step pattern where we had a higher low every single day for 6-7 days. That pattern has broken, and we are not breaking the Biden high. So again, the way that this is going to play out is the bulls have to set the daily high or low very quickly here. We really need to set it Monday or Tuesday to keep within striking distance to try and see continuation. Bears are playing defense here. Look at the high of the last 3 days, 1241, 1237, 1238. For as far as I'm concerned, that's a triple top at 1241. And we then rolled over into daily consolidation. If I'm a bear, I want to see another solid couple of red days to create the space like CGC and TLRY for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce to try and shape up a daily downtrend. If we were to confirm a daily downtrend from here, we can easily stay within this Biden range for a very long time. If we look at it from a weekly perspective, it would look like a low, high, a pullback, a lower high. We then look for a higher low. If we reject from the Biden high here, we can trade within this tightening range for the rest of the year into the start of 2023. So watching closely, what is the pullback size here? And again, we use fib retracements, Alt F to measure a low here to this high. This is still favorable consolidation, but once we drop down to 50% plus retracement, that's when we start to create the space for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. And if we measure CGC and compare it from the low at the end of October, CGC at the end of October, well, it's actually a much different chart, so I wouldn't want to do the same comparison. But as far as percentage pullback and what we would need to see a higher high from here, we need 25% on CGC, whereas MSOS, to get back to the recent high from where we came from, we only need 7%. Obviously, that's a very big difference. So I am more bearish on Canadian names because their setup is different than at least MSOS at this point. The individual names, Curaleaf is a lead bull, having broken the Biden high and getting to the highest level in 5 months, but its daily consolidation is underway as well. Higher low every day, 7 days has broken, and now it's a question of how much pullback do we see before a daily higher low is set. Does it favor continuation with a quick higher low, or do we pull back another couple of days to create the space for the lower high? It's the only individual name that broke resistance. Look at GTBIF bears defending 1455. So here's a point where, again, hedging if you're in a long-term position. Let's say I'm heavy GTBIF, and I know 1455 is the resistance level, and I know we've been going up for weeks just to get to resistance, and I see us reject at 1440, 1440, and then on Thursday, we don't even get to 1440. So what I call an insurance play is I can either short something in the sector to offset that long, or I could sell, let's say I sell half of my long swing position on GTBIF at 1420. Just saying, all right, well, I don't know if we're going to break resistance. I'm going to sell at 1420, and I'm going to rebuy it if we break 1460. So I'm giving up 2.5% of my half position. So in reality, I'm giving up, let's just call it 1.5% on my full position, where I'm going to sell some to protect, and if I'm wrong and we keep going higher, I then lose 1.5%, but we're still going up, and my position is still profitable. In this instance, selling that half position, you now are able to reload cheaper. So that's why I will suggest, and again, this is only to those that have been putting in ample time trading. I'm certainly not suggesting anybody that's in their first year of learning trading and technical analysis try and play around with this kind of precision. But for those that have been doing it for multiple years, this is the kind of play where we want to be trading around a core because of the significant swings in both directions that we want to be able to take advantage of. And just in this instance, the pullback that we've already seen now from this little triple top, and without even knowing if our daily high or low is shaping up yet, it's already a double-digit percentage pullback. So we're going to be looking for a daily high or low here, but unable to break the Biden high. TCNNF 1350, resistance remains, that's a key level. NCRLBF still sideways, the weakest of the bunch, didn't get close to the Biden high. But we can say that unless we see the majority of individual names breaking the Biden high, we're going to look for MSLS to be unable to break. Every name needs to join CURLF with that clear break that we saw. Onto the psychedelic name, CMPS keeps tightening up. We're going to look for a break here within the next week or so of trading. It could take a little while longer. If we hold 896 for a high or a low and then bounce for a few days, next thing you know, we're into December and it's still tightening up, but we're going to look for a break of this tightening range to bring volatility. MNMD, nice bounce here, but again, we have not confirmed a daily uptrend on MNMD since 1995 top. We would have to see the bulls change the hourly trend in their favor, holding 235 support, and then see a bull break of 310 resistance to have the first daily uptrend in a long time. If we cannot break, again, simple statement, if we cannot break 310, the bears keep complete control. ATAI bulls showed up with volume on Friday, but it's all about 365. Have to break that level if the bulls are going to go anywhere. It's a double top, 363, 365. I don't care about the ETFs in the psychedelic space. They don't have enough volume to have my interest. Someday they may, but for now, the average volume is absolutely insignificant. I know there's a handful of these ETFs, but none of them are even close. And I was saying the same thing back when MSOS was created, and I think my criteria there was 3 million. Give me $3 million of daily volume. It might have been 5, but give me that kind of daily volume, and we will start to be paying attention because that will be notable. And we saw that happen pretty much. $3 million a day was right around here is when we started putting that in. And that's obviously when things really started heating up. So you have to have the volume for these ETFs to see a significant move up. So that's where we stand overall. Again, pumping the brakes as a bull because of the red flags on Friday in the sector. Yes, U.S. cannabis is currently holding on better than Canadian cannabis this past week. Yes, Canadian names have more space for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. And that's about it. So I'm going to be watching for those daily lower highs. Depending on what the broader market is doing, I might not like this setup, and I might like that setup, but I just know that it's something that I'm sticking off to the side and saying, keep an eye out for this pattern. If the bulls see a bounce for a day or two and shape up that daily lower high, I'm going to be looking for the potential of a swing short. And again, anybody that has a long-term bull position in U.S. cannabis should actively be scouting hedge short positions in weaker names. Again, only if you've been putting in the time and effort into learning technical analysis and trading. And if you have not, and you're starting to do so now to have more control and not just be a leaf blowing in the wind of these flashing numbers, then I would suggest checking out our free intro course and all the free content that we've got on our YouTube channel. Hope you're having a great weekend. Appreciate you watching, and we'll continue to keep a close eye on things. Probably do a midweek check-in next week, especially if we get that daily bounce to start potentially scouting that daily lower high. We'll see. Do good things.